This is 911. State your emergency. Hello? I can't help you if I don't know where you're at, honey. Where are you at? Where are you? I need as many units as I can get for Fairfield Road. Give me the numbers.
911, what's your emergency?
Hey friends, it's Fletch. I'm Vice President of Public Safety Solutions at 911 Inform. Welcome to this new podcast series, Off the Cuff, Confessions of an ENP. Brought to you by 911 Inform, delivering next-generation 911 services for the enterprise today and making every second count. In this series, we're going to be talking to ENPs that have been on the job for years, as well as those brand new ENPs that have just passed the test. We'll dig in and have an in-depth conversation and find out what the ENP certification means to them. We'll talk about why they did it, what it means for their career, and what they did to pass the exam. Industry certifications are important to industry professionals, and the ENP certification is one that's admired by many in public safety. So join me as we find out exactly what makes an ENP tick in this off-the-cuff podcast series, Confessions of an ENP. Hey, it's Fletch. Welcome to another episode of Off the Cuff, True Confessions of an ENP. Today we're sitting down with Lisa Rice from Tioga County, Pennsylvania. 911. Brand new ENP. Welcome to the podcast and congratulations on those 3 letters.
Thank you, Fletch. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, you're right next door over in PA.
We are.
Nice area up there. Now you're in north central Pennsylvania, right?
That is correct. We're directly below the New York border of upstate New York.
Okay. Are you right on the border?
We are. Yeah, we border right up against it.
So let me ask you, because I live right on the border in New York State as well. What do you guys, I'm sure you get a ton of cross-border calls like on cellular and stuff. Are you able to transfer across the border?
We are able to transfer across the border. Of course, one of the issues is still the ability to transfer and include that anti-alley spill with it. That's in the works, though. We're working hard with our neighbors.
So you're just transferring the call through the phone network. It's not really a 911 transfer then.
Correct.
Yeah. See, the public gets so confused but it's right there, but you don't understand. There's a big technology wall in the middle that's got to change.
Yeah, there's that invisible line between the Commonwealth and the state of New York that is invisible, but definitely very much there.
Yeah, no, where I used to live in Jersey, we also were on the border, and I used to always say, well, if there's a fatal accident and right on the county line and the survivors were thrown across the border, where do you bury the survivors? Well, gee, that's good. Well, no, it isn't, because you don't bury survivors.
You shouldn't bury the survivors.
So you've been in 911, based on our chat, quite a while.
Yeah.
Or at least public safety.
Yeah, I got involved in public safety in about 1990. And after about 3 years involved, I came into the 911 world. Actually started as a part-time midnight dispatcher and kind of worked my way up through to full-time dispatcher into the admin side of things. So it's been a wild ride.
Nice. Now, midnights in Tioga County, what's that like?
So they can be quiet, but of course that's when we tend to get a lot of our bigger type incidents.
Yeah.
And when I say Tioga County, we also dispatch for Potter County. So we dispatch for one of our neighboring counties, and we dispatch for a couple little portions of counties that surround us. We're actually about 2,500 square miles, or a little bit over that.
Oh, wow.
We're covering.
How many do you have on staff there?
I have a full staff. If I'm full boat, I have 16 people.
Oh, wow.
And so normally we have on the midnight shift 2 people with a goal of eventually getting to 3 all the time. And then the day and evening shift is 3 to 4 normally.
Okay. So that's a decent sized center. I worked by myself when I dispatched in 80. We didn't even have 911. And I had a babysit for 3 towns, police, fire, and medical. And you know what? Wednesday night in the middle of the week on midnights, good time to catch up on reading. But you never knew when it was going to blow up, right?
Exactly. And you don't have the resources available to you on the midnight shift that you have on those other shifts.
No, you don't. You really got to start thinking on your feet. So what did you think about the ENP exam? How long did you study for that?
So I
Because
studied.
you got a billion years doing this.
I
You had to
know.
know a lot of stuff going in.
I know. I took a really long time to build up the courage to actually do it. And part of the reason that I did that, of course, I have a director here who has prodding me the last couple of years of, you need to do this, you need to do this. So I actually started thinking about doing it about 2 years ago. And I got the book and I studied on the book some, and kind of life got in the way. I got some other things that were going on. And so then about 6 months, or probably a little over 6 months ago, circled back around, and I told my boss, I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I ordered the updated book, the new version, started studying the book. And unfortunately, the time frame that I chose, most of the online study groups were either over or hadn't started yet. So I watched some of the study groups from the past,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of tried to pick out the pieces that were still valid, and pulled stuff off the internet, pulled stuff out of books, picked my boss's brain to prepare for it.
So there, back when I took it, there wasn't a whole lot on the internet. The Colorado group had some stuff, and I think the Texas group from Mission Critical had some
Mhm.
stuff. There wasn't a whole lot, but there was enough that it got me through okay. But I didn't take advantage of, or they weren't available yet, the practice exams that you can purchase from Nina. Did you
Right.
get those when you bought the book?
I did the first time through. I did not the second time through.
Okay. Did that give you an idea of where you needed to work on stuff?
Yeah, it did, and I kind of had an idea of where I needed to focus my studies. I knew that the operations side, the dispatch center side, the personnel wasn't going to be my issue, that it was going to be the technology side,
Yep.
which is where the internet does come in handy, because if you want to look up anything about VoIP calling, you can find tons of stuff that you can study, or ROIP, or any of those things. So there's
Yeah.
lots of stuff that you can pull up now.
The problem is, though, is when you're looking on the internet, nothing there is validated, and you don't know if the guy you're talking to or you're listening to knows what he's talking about, or if he's full of shit.
What's your emergency?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm very thankful that I did have my director, who I lovingly refer to as a techno geek.
Mm-hmm.
So I would study some stuff, and I would print some stuff off and bring it in and sit down with him and say, okay, I want to talk about this. And that was where I was able to identify some of the things of, okay, yeah, this is very valid. This is a little questionable.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I got some videos from this guy Fletcher. Don't listen to that dude.
Whatever you do, don't look at those.
Now, there's a lot of stuff out there now, and I think most of the study groups make their sessions available online.
Right.
And one of my favorites is Tracy Eldridge. She does a great job, and the reason I like her is because she goes through that whole course every single time. She looks at the book again, she goes through every section and makes sure that what she's teaching matches the latest copy of the book. And
Right.
then, because I was on the Nina Institute board, she would send me a list. You need to change all of this and make this better.
Yeah. Hers was actually some of them that I watched that were from the last session that she had done.
Right. Yep. And I know she goes through it, twice a year. She's going through and revamping all of her stuff, which takes a lot of effort on her part. So I give her a lot of credit. So I'm coming off the NIB this year because I just got recently elected as the Nina Northeast Regional Director,
I saw that. Congratulations.
covering your region now. So.
Yeah. Well, you have to get up and visit us then.
Oh, absolutely. No, I was just making plans the other day for the state conference that's coming up at the end of the summer, I think it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Or, in the summer months.
Oh, so for the PA Nina.
Yeah.
In State College. Well, then I'll see you there. I just made my reservations.
Oh, yeah, that's right. State College. Yeah, that's right. So that's not too far for me. And I've just trying to think. I think I've been there before for something or another, but it's a nice area. That's all I know.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So I'm really, really looking forward to that. So what part of the exam did you have the biggest problem with?
Just as I had identified, the biggest part of it was the technology and how quickly technology is changing. I've always been on the dispatcher kind of side of the realm, so I've been able to keep up with how a dispatcher uses the technology on their side, but the backside of things, how it gets from point A to point B to actually get into the communication center, those are where I had correctly identified where my issues were going to be at. And I still, I've passed that exam, and it still helped me identify that there are more things that I need to continue to focus on learning. So that's one of the things it did for me, is it helped me identify those weaknesses that I have. I keep getting better all the time. I like to challenge myself. So
Yeah, that's good. So Lisa, you're deputy director of Tioga County now, and your boss is kind of contemplating, what's next for him. Do you think you're ready to take over?
I think so. I've got a lot of good people here that would be having my back. I'm hopeful that my director is still going to give us a while yet. He's put in his time, and he's certainly to the point where he could go when he's ready to go. My goal would be that hopefully he'd have a little bit more time here, and I know that he'll still be available to me even when that time does come that he moves on, and I hopefully would move into that position. But like I said, I've got a lot of really good staff here. It's all about who you have working with you. It's not about just me.
So does that position require you to obtain certifications such as an ENP?
So I don't believe that it was initially written in the requirements. I believe it is now. As time has gone on, the EMP, when it was new, there wasn't quite as much pressure to have that training underneath you, or that ability to say, look, this is how I have strived to be the best that I can be. But now, yeah, it's something that's definitely a requirement in order to show that you have the knowledge that you need in order to continue taking us into the future.
I'm seeing that more and more. There's either a requirement to have it or a requirement to obtain and maintain within 6 months to a year.
Right.
Once you've taken on a position.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about the validity of the exam, the recognition in the industry of that exam, that it is a true certification of your knowledge in the industry. And it's kind of like it's a doctor. My foot doctor is from Canada, and he's a great guy. I've had 5 foot surgeries, and the guy he's a good friend. He's become a good friend over the years. And I always tease him. I always say, hey, it's great that you went to medical school. It's a shame that it had to be up in Canada, and it's just whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, it's still a medical certification. And just gets under his skin. I drive him nuts with that every time. But
yeah, well, and I really think having this certification, having the ENP certification as a requirement of these positions is important. So often we see folks that maybe are coming into this not understanding what they're getting into as a director or any type of an admin position. If you don't have the background, I really think starting at the bottom floor as a dispatcher and working your way up is the best way to go.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine coming off this out of another profession, moving into this profession, and then having to take that exam and pass it without any background at all. So I think that's a huge asset to anybody who's thinking about taking it in order to advance their career.
Yeah. Hey, look, I was on the job for 5 years. Granted, it was 1980 to 1985, but I still did it. I know how it works. And you know what? The fundamentals have not changed, right? The phone rings, you answer the phone, you figure out what's needed, and you get the resources there. That is the basic job. Now, you got a lot more technology to help. You have a lot more things to do. You have a lot more resources today. I mean, I started off with handwritten complaints in the blotter, and we had one computer for DMV lookups. That's it.
Yeah.
Today, you got a lot of technology surrounding you, but the job fundamentals are the same.
Yes.
So yes, I understand it. And I was out on the road. So yes, I understand that side. And I think that made me a better dispatcher. I was on the squad. I was on the road. I wasn't on the fire department. So, but you know what? They had their own thing. Once it was dispatch, headquarters signed on, and that's where the fire was managed. I didn't have to do that. Or fire would have having fire experience would have been valuable. But I think we lose that today in that there's this line of separation both ways. People on the road don't understand dispatch, and dispatch doesn't understand on the road as good as they possibly can or should.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You know, we try our hardest. Just like you said, 30 years ago when I started, we were required to be EMTs. We had to have that background so that we could pull those questions out of our brains.
Yep.
Now with all of the protocols that are available, we don't require that anymore.
Right.
But we still ask our folks to do ride-alongs. We still send them out with law enforcement for ride-alongs. We still like them to get out on even our forestry guys were getting ready to do a prescribed burn, and we offered it out to the dispatchers and said, get out there and see how this stuff works. See what the other side of the radio is and what the needs are. So we try our best to try to keep people as prepared as we can, understanding what is needed in the field.
You said it perfectly. See what the other side of the radio looks like, because you know what? A lot of times they never get to see that. And it's the transmit button, and that's the end of the line for them. They don't understand, I'm doing this. It might take me an extra second to respond. I'm in the middle of this, and that. Don't ask me this right then and there, right? It's just, you got to understand. And reverse, right? People in the field should do a sit along at the desk. Oh my God, I never understood that you had to do this and do this and do this to make all of this work.
Yep. Yeah.
You're a big conductor when you're sitting behind the desk. A lot of times I would love to go back and sit the desk, and then I'll be in the center and I'll watch, and I'm going, whoa, that's way too much technology.
Right.
I like the old manual, sense of it, because that's how I learned, and that's what I did. That's what I know.
Yep.
So, although I know the basics, I still like to watch the new stuff because there's a lot to learn there, just with process and procedure.
Absolutely.
So, and my regular job is to supply that content, floor plans, maps, building information, all the additional data that's going to travel in through Next Generation 911. So I understand that, but I need to sit down and understand, okay, I'm not just going to dump this pile of crap on somebody.
Right.
What are they going to do with it, right? So there's still value, even though I'm on the dark commercial side. I can't just create content.
Right.
And our developers, let's do this. Yeah, but that's not the way it works.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's super, super important that we have folks like you that have sat this seat, that are creating those things that are made to help us. Because sometimes we receive the things that are supposed to help us, but there wasn't thought put into it from the dispatch side. And the dispatcher looks at it and throws their hands up and says, well, yeah, it would be great if it did this, this, and this, but it doesn't. This doesn't help me.
Yeah, could you say that again? I want to make sure my boss hears that. She's really, really happy that there are people like me.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes a huge difference. We can tell it from our side.
That's in any industry, right? You've got to understand the whole thing end to end. And when you look at the best people in the industry, it's someone that's got that well-rounded, view of things.
Sure.
I mean, I've got people in my company that are in charge of training folks in dispatch. The guy is a retired detective sergeant, worked Homeland Security, and was an assistant prosecutor. Yeah, he knows the industry. Right?
Yeah.
He speaks the language. How come that's not taught as a language? How to talk 911?
It should be. There'd be a lot of acronyms involved.
Yeah, no kidding. So what's your advice to the to the new call taker who says, I don't know if I can do this? Should they wait 30 years?
No, you shouldn't wait 30 years. Don't follow in my footsteps. Um, you know, get studying now on the things that you need to know. Pay attention to the technology that's coming in. When we have a vendor in the building that's willing to talk, and goodness knows most of our vendors are more than willing to talk, pick their brains about what's going on and what's new and what's upcoming. When we have our IT folks in the room, they're involved in it too. They're more than willing to share knowledge, but we have to be willing to ask for that knowledge. So start studying now. Challenge yourself now to make yourself better. It's the only way we're going to continue to serve the communities that we're dedicated to, is by wanting to be the best that we can be.
Oh no, that's well said. I always pick one little thing out of every podcast that's going to be the icon promo for that, and boy, you just said it right there. That was absolutely perfect. What are you guys doing as far as educating the public? And I'm talking about school involvement and so forth. Do you guys have any programs there?
So a couple of different things. I mean, we've always done the school tours and that kind of stuff, where we've brought the kids into the 911 center, kind of just to give them the information that they need in order for them to be good callers. But now we're looking towards, how are we going to start cultivating these kids that are coming out of school, that are graduating? How do we cultivate them and turn them into dispatchers? We're facing a whole new group of team players, of staff, as you will. Their values are different. Their abilities are different. And we have to be able to adjust what we do in order to incorporate what they know and what their skills are. And we also have to be able to figure out how to teach them the skills that they need, that they maybe don't have now that they had 30 years ago.
Right. So this is not an insult to you or me, because we're both around pretty much the same time. We are dinosaurs in this industry for 3 to 4, going on 4 decades. Are we able to communicate to the new employee base that's coming in? Do you think, do we speak enough of their language?
I think we can. I don't think we often do. We've got that generation gap there, and every generation does things a little bit differently, and we've had that outlook for years of, these youngsters that are coming into the game, they don't have the values that we have. Well, that doesn't mean they don't have good values. It just means we have to change how we communicate to be able to meet what their needs are. They have different needs than we had. When I started, we were looking the same as you. When you started, you were looking for a profession, you were looking for a career, you were looking for something you were going to retire from down the road.
In 20 years.
Or 30 or 40 or however many years it was. That's not the same outlook now. They're looking, they need something different. And we as administrators, as we're bringing them in, we have to figure out what that need is that they have. And we have to meet it, or we're not going to get them, and we're not going to keep them. We're not going to retain them.
Yeah, I'm not sure. My daughter is 24, and if she looked at me straight on, I'm not sure I would recognize her, because I only see the top of her forehead, because she's always doing this, right?
Yeah,
So,
right.
it's a different time. We're different than our parents. My mother and father would look at me and go, "I don't know why you do that," and I'm looking at my daughter, "I don't know why you do that." So it's generational. It's always going to be there.
Well,
What can we do to fix that, or at least blend the gap a little bit? Because I think we need to, or we're screwed.
yeah, we do. We have to recognize the value in the generation that's coming to us now. And the value in that generation is, they've never done any kind of work that didn't involve a computer and this technology that we're challenged by. For them, it's nothing. I sit somebody in one of these younger kids, and I say younger kids, and they're anywhere from 20 to 22, 23 years old when we're getting them in. I sit them in front of a CAD, and they go, nothing to it. Click, 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 click.
Yep.
So they have these huge skill sets that we just don't recognize, because we're looking for something that's not there anymore.
So when are they going to add to Pro QA? Whatever. Help, I'm having chest pains. Whatever.
When they give me a big enough stick, they can add that.
Oh, it's interesting. That's great. So how's next gen coming in your area from your perspective? What do you think?
Good. It's been a process. We are currently, one of the new kind of fun things that we've added. I say fun when you talk technology, it seems like it's all fun anymore. Is the rapid SOS. So getting that up and in our centers has been a really interesting change, and part of that's been because of that New York State border that we have.
Yeah. What
We're
a
getting
problem.
calls. Yeah, we're getting calls in, especially our wireless calls that are hitting a tower that sits right on the line.
Yep.
And those calls are going to New York State, but now they're hitting rapid SOS, and we're heads up. Hey, there's going to be a call coming to us in the next 2 minutes. It's going to get transferred back down to us.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, Steve Martini's in Nashville. He takes on the new position as director down there, and then they had the bombing, a couple years ago, and all their lines are out. He had the wherewithal and he had the ability to distribute cell phones out in his center, and they were getting the 911 pops on rapid and then calling those people back from their cell phones
Yeah.
because the phone system was out. Everything was out.
Okay. Yeah.
And it saved their bucket right there, man.
Yep,
It was
exactly. Well, and as part of our back to the question, part of we're part of a regional project up here. And in July, we will be making our migration to our next generation, switching over. So that's still some challenges, but the ability to share resources and work with the counties around us is fast becoming a reality.
Yep. So, you're in kind of like the same area I am. I've got New York State literally just a couple of miles up the road. And if I'm inside my house, my cell phone 911 will go to New York State.
Yeah.
And if I'm outside, I will typically hit a Jersey tower just because of the propagation of the radio signals. And, you learn propagation as an ENP. Little plug. But, that's problematic. And while they can transfer calls, it's a phone company PSTN transfer of the call audio. Right. There's no anti-alley system transfer of that data. Right. So it's who are you? Where are you? What do you need? Oh, you're in Jersey. Let me transfer. Get them. Who are you? Where are you? What do you need?
Yeah.
And in my case, that goes to county, and then they go to my town, and then the third time, who are you? Where are you? What do you need? So there's a lot of room for improvement, and next gen really kind of makes all that happen very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it coming out. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's really great. I really appreciate you spending time. If I'm out that way, I got to come see your center.
You better.
I love. You told me about what did you call it? The Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so we have the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon here, Pine Creek and the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon. It's definitely something to see.
If you get your director up to the top, you could just bump him a little bit.
Yeah, I like him too much to do that.
Just saying, it could happen.
Just early retirement.
If it does, I'm saying I have no idea.
Yeah, it's all recorded now, Fletch. It's all recorded.
That's it. This will be Your Honor. Let me show you Exhibit A.
Yeah.
So, well, listen. Thanks very much for sitting down.
Yeah.
And of course, as a member of the Northeast Neenah region, if there's anything you ever need, I'm more than happy to talk to you. But I do want to I'll see you in State College at the Neenah.
Yeah, you absolutely will. I'm looking forward to it. And thank you again for having me and for what you do.
Yeah, no, thanks very much. Thank you for what you do and for sticking with it for so long. What do you got, like 35 years in the industry now?
About 35 in the industry, yeah.
Oh, that's admirable. That is admirable.
That or it's crazy.
Yeah.
Take your pick.
It's crazy admirable.
There you go.
All right, Lisa Rice, ENP with Tioga County, Pennsylvania, 911. Saving lives up in the beautiful Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania. Thanks for joining us. It's really been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
Well, that wraps up this episode of Off the Cuff, Confessions of an ENP. I'm Mark Fletcher, ENP, and I'm the Vice President of Public Safety Solutions at 911 Inform. Off the Cuff is sponsored by 911 Inform, delivering next-generation 911 solutions to the enterprise today and making every second count. Visit them on the web at 911inform.com. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Fletch911. Check out all my blogs and podcasts at Fletch.tv. And be sure to like and subscribe below. That way you'll be immediately notified whenever a new podcast is published. Thanks so much for listening. If you're in public safety, thanks for what you do. Take care and have a great day.